Okay, so the new dash panel came in. It looks pretty good. It's got some surface rust here and there. Right there, there's some along the edge that we had some rust out. I started taking the wire brush to it. You can see it cleaned up pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this whole thing with the wire brush, and then I'm going to use that rust conversion primer. Get that on the inside. We're going to go ahead and just spray everything down good so that when we put it in, we won't have to worry about it. We're not going to put speakers back in it because, well, we're not running speakers. So let me knock this out with the brush real quick. It is supposed to be thunderstorms this afternoon, but we have blue sky and some really nice weather. So hopefully I can get this inside painted real quick today, and then I can mount it back in the Jeep and paint the rest of it. And my new windshield should be here by the end of next week. So the 29th, I think is when it said. So day before my birthday. So let me get this cleaned up and then we'll get on the primer. Okay, so I did the edge that rusted out, the back side of the edge that rusted out, and the back side of the panel and the bottom edge of the panel. The front side I'm not going to worry about putting the rust inhibitor on because it's in good shape, and I'll just go ahead and put the flat black on it. I'll probably do one more coat of the rust inhibitor on the back side and the top edge, and then I'll spray the whole thing down, the back side and everything with the primer or flat, and then we'll install it and call it a day. So we're going to let that set for about 15 minutes and then we'll hit another coat. Alright, so I've put my first coat of the acrylic enamel on the back side. You can still see it's got a couple wet spots there and there. So we'll go ahead and let that dry for 15 minutes. I think we're only going to do 1 or 2 coats on the back side. My most concern is the top edge and down here where this is the bottom where water will pool. So I've got a couple extra coats down in there as well. But as far as the panel, I'm not going to worry about it too much. So probably 1 more coat. I'll flip it over, do the other side, and then see about trying to get it reinstalled today. That'd be kind of cool. I am missing a couple of bolts, but I'm going to leave them out. I've got some on order, so they should be here in a couple of days. Alright, so while this was drying, I went into the back and I was working on the intake manifold, trying to get it cleaned up enough. So the back is dry, it's got a few coats on it, so I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and spray, especially around where the steering column goes. I'm going to spray that really good before I put in the Jeep, just so I'm not spraying it all over the column. I'm going to eventually paint the column black, but I just don't want overspray on everything. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. So flip this over real quick. We'll give it a quick spray, maybe 1 or 2 coats, and then we'll get it into the Jeep because it should literally take me minutes. Alright, so I've got 1 coat down across that. I've got about maybe enough for 1 more, possibly 2 more coats before I'm out. So that'll be 3 coats. I think that's going to be good, and I can go ahead and put the dash in at that point. But I'll work more on the end around the instrument cluster and the steering column. This side I can paint while it's in the Jeep if I have to. So we'll let this dry for another 10 minutes or so. It's already been a few minutes. You can see there's still a few wet spots. But once I get a few more coats on that, then I can go ahead and put the windshield down and go ahead and see about putting that back in. Well, I was outside spraying the dash. The windshield came in. It wasn't supposed to be here until the 29th. I just ordered this. I actually ordered it off Amazon. And I just spoke to the guy that ships them yesterday or the day before. What is today? Today is Friday. So I talked to him on Wednesday to confirm what Jeep I had, what model, all that stuff, and this way he makes sure they fit. So yeah, I was really happy with the reseller with Amazon. Stickers on the outside of the boxes. Check it when you get it. As you can see, I've opened it up. There's no cracks or anything like that in it. So once I get the dash back in, I can secure the windshield frame, and then I also got the gasket in for this today as well. So depending on the weather, we're supposed to have thunderstorms from tonight through Sunday. So depending on the weather, I might be able to get this in before the end of the weekend. If not, it'll have to be next week. Monday is my wife's birthday, the 25th of March. And then mine's the 30th of March. So just depends on what we got going. But got a windshield, so that's good. Now we can be legal because the windshield that's in there is completely trashed. So yeah, so right now we're just waiting for paint to dry on the dash, and then we can go ahead and start putting it back in. Alright, so I got the window laid back down here. The part's been out here drying for a while. Clouds are starting to move in. I think we still got a little bit of time. I think that's my baggie. Is it? Yeah, I believe this is the baggie. Okay, gotta make sure I know where all the parts are. So I have the parts, so I can go ahead and put the dash back in. So we're going to go ahead and snake that in. Somewhere is my ratchet and whatnot, so we'll get the thing out. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, there's supposed to be 11 screws that hold the dash to the firewall. So we're gonna go ahead and get that in. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Seal looks like it's in pretty good shape. Everything is sitting where it's supposed to be. So all right, so let's get the dash, let's get that slid over here, and then we'll do that. Oh, that's what's missing off of the, unless I didn't see it. I didn't see a rear view mirror place, but I think I'm going to change the rear view mirror anyway to the full wide winky style. I think that's what they were called, winky mirrors, so you can see more behind you. But all right, so let's grab the dash panel, let's get it fit back in here and see how much we can get done right now. Okay, it's kind of nice. You can just fit it over. I stood on the passenger side and just fit it around the steering column. It fit right up in place. This part looks like it's pretty good. It is got a little bit of a bend in it, but this is kind of flimsy metal anyway, so once we get it bolted down, we should be pretty good. So I'm going to hunt down the bolts. I'm going to do the ones up here across the top first, and then I'll come and do these down here last. I think once I start setting them in place, everything should kind of fall in place. And I'm trying to think, do I need to, all of this stuff can get plugged in after everything's back where it is. Yep, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, so I need to find the bolts and the Torx. All right, so I have all the bolts up across the top end. I have the bottom corners in. I'm missing 2 bolts, so I'm going to leave these 2 here on the outside open. The dash is a little bent right here, but once I pull the windshield back up into place and set it, it should bend this down, so everything should line up. I've already started tightening down these 3. I'm gonna get these last 2 down, set the windshield up, and then tighten the bottom corners, and then we are going to be done for the day. So actually this went back in super easy. Of course I need both hands to do this. All right, one last thing I'm going to do is I am going to spray all of the bolts here under the window. with the rust inhibitor, so that if we do get more water in there, it at least will hopefully protect it a little bit, or at least the bolt head, so we don't have any more rust out. But then again, probably won't rust out again in another 30 some odd years anyway, but at least it's something. So yeah, everything else looks pretty good. I'm just trying to see here. So these are all done. I'm gonna go ahead and spray them, and then I'm gonna go ahead and set the window up, and I'll tighten these down. All right, so I got 3 coats of the rust inhibitor on those 5 bolts. So that's gonna dry. I'll probably leave the windshield down until right before it starts to rain, or I could just leave it down. I guess it really doesn't really matter, because now that everything's covered, we should be good. All right, so the other thing I got to do is put that dash back in, but I want to paint the dash too, but I don't have enough black paint, so I probably need to order it, because I'm going to paint everything on the interior black. The outside will be green. I think that'll work. I've got some green LEDs I'm going to run in here instead of, because I don't have a dome light, I will run the LEDs under the lip of the body, along the side all the way into the back, so that when you turn the lights on there, at least there'll be some green, some light, and we'll call that good. But that will be another thing. Just double checking everything here while I'm got it. I should have cleaned out the back side of the dash, but it all looks good. It looks a lot better than it did. Okay, I moved the one I had here that was down here because the panel was bowed out, and now that I did that, this lines up. So I had one more. I forgot about this one. So I had this one, and the other 2. So dash panels back in, minus this one, which I can get to from whenever because it's on the outside. As far as this goes, I'm torn. I don't want to put the glove box back in because this glove box is kind of freaking pointless. There's not a whole lot of room in it. So for about 90 bucks, I can get a steel cubby with a grab handle, which I think is what I'm going to end up doing. But for right now, I'm just going to leave it off because it's not that important. So I can either run to the hardware store and get some more paint, which probably I'll end up having to do, and that way I can paint the dash before I put it in. I still will need to mask off and paint the steering column, but and then we can start putting all the wiring back in and the switch and all the other shit. But again, the wind's starting to pick up, so we will have to see. Come over here, take a look. Same thing. I moved the whole bolt from here to here. That way everything is more flush. But yeah, everything seems to line up. The window frame bolt is there. So way better than it looked before. Again, the rusted out one is over here. You can see how much rust. I mean, there's pretty much all of that's missing. There should be a bar there, and there's not. I'm not putting the cigarette lighter thing back in ashtray. It's kind of pointless. So yeah, all right, well, that's going to be this part of the dash. I'm still working on the other video for the intake. I'm cleaning it. That's going to take a while, so I'll probably bounce back over to that when the weather changes. I'll find a place that's out of the rain and be able to work on the intake, because I can do that in the house or wherever. But all right, I'm going to put my tools away, and thanks for watching. All right, so I had just a little bit of paint, so I started doing the part that's going to be in the sun the most. I'll put more coats on the top, but the can's pretty empty now. All right, so now I can go ahead and call it a day. I know I get to being done, and then I'm not done. Okay, so I need to put up my tools, and then we'll call it good.